So, you know how sometimes you stumble across something so strange you just got to share it?
Yeah, totally. I mean, that's kind of like the whole point of the show, right?
Right, exactly. Like diving deep into the weird and wonderful. And this one's a doozy, folks.
Lay it on us then, what you got.
So we got these listener requests, excerpts actually, from a podcast called The Source. Deep dive and whoa, boy.
The Source. Deep dive. Okay, the name itself already sounds like we're going down a rabbit hole here.
Oh, you have no idea. So imagine this, right? A podcast about a podcast.
Wait, hold up. A podcast reviewing another podcast? Is that what we're talking about?
Not exactly. It's like they're dissecting movies.
Yeah.
But get this. The movies are chosen for them by some mysterious force they call the source.
Oh, wow. Okay, so there's like a meta level to this already.
Yeah.
A podcast analyzing how another podcast analyzes movies picked by some unknown entity. It's getting trippy.
Right. And it's not just your run-of-the-mill movie review show either. These guys, they don't hold back. They call themselves cinematic executioners.
Cinematic executioners. Now that's an image, and I'm sensing a certain dramatic flair, maybe a little dark humor sprinkled in.
Oh, definitely. There's talk of existential dread, and someone even throws around film theory terms like they're weapons.
So we're not just talking about popcorn flicks here, are we? This sounds like they're delving into some pretty heavy stuff.
You got it. And for anyone scratching their heads about existentialism, it's like the meaning of life, freedom of choice, that kind of deep stuff.
Right. So applying that to movies, we're probably looking at films that explore those big questions, the darker side of things, maybe even just plain weirdness.
You're on the right track, but here's the thing. They're totally self-aware about it.
Yeah.
They know they might be wading into some seriously dense, maybe even bad movies.
And that's where the humor comes in, right? They're letting us in on the joke. They know this could get pretentious, but they're playing with it.
Exactly. It's like they're embracing the absurdity of it all, and the source angle adds another layer of weirdness.
Right, because it's not just them in the movies. It's this mysterious entity calling the shot. They even call the show a meta wrestling match.
Meta wrestling match. I like that. I mean, it really captures the dynamic, doesn't it? You got the hosts, the movie, and the source all battling it out.
Totally. It's like they're trying to wrestle meaning or at least some laughs out of whatever the source throws at them. And from what I've heard, some of those movies are real head scratchers.
Oh, yeah. In the excerpts our listeners sent, the movie they're analyzing is called Insert Movie Title. And they keep saying things like, why does this exist?
Ouch. Yeah, I'm getting a sense this movie might not be winning any Oscars anytime soon.
You think? They even ask, how can we make this hurt less? It's like they're bracing for impact.
And that's part of the appeal. I think they're like cinematic martyrs, taking one for the team, suffering through these movies so we don't have to.
Uh-huh. Yeah. And their humor, it's not just jokes. It's this mix of cynicism and genuine appreciation for film, even when they're tearing a movie apart.
Exactly. They might say, this plot makes no sense, but then they'll break down a scene and point out a really clever camera angle or a subtle acting choice.
It's that balance that keeps you hooked. They're like your friends who love to make fun of bad movies, but they actually know what they're talking about.
And then there's that ending in the excerpt you mentioned after they've dissected the movie. We hear the source, this ominous laughter.
Creepy, right? Like, what fresh hell awaits these poor souls? And it makes you wonder what's next, right? What other cinematic torture does the source have planned?
It's almost like a cliffhanger, but for your sanity, like what movie could possibly be worse than this one?
Right. And maybe makes you think a little deeper, too, like who's controlling the media we consume in our own lives? Are we all just at the mercy of some mysterious force?
That's a great point. It's like this podcast is holding up a mirror to our own relationship with entertainment and asking us to question who's really pulling the strings.
So I got to ask you, what movie would you unleash on the hosts of The Source? Deep dive. What cinematic nightmare would you subject them to?
Ooh, that's a tough one. There are so many classics to choose from, I think I'd have to go with. Actually, you know what? I'm going to leave that up to our listeners.
Yes. Hit us up on social media, folks. Tell us what cinematic abomination you'd make those poor podcasters suffer through. And maybe we'll do a deep dive on your picks.
And in the meantime, keep an eye out for those hidden forces shaping your entertainment choices. You never know. The source could be lurking closer than you think.
Until next time, folks, happy viewing and stay curious.
And slightly terrified.